Oh.
My name is Spiros. This is Michael. We're the co-organizers of this meetup. Thank you for coming. Raise your hand if it's your first time. All right, you're in for a treat. You're a really awesome speaker. But before we get into that, I want to thank Access Group real quick.
Straighten me up. If I start moving.
Sponsor. They bought this food and drink.
Woo, 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 woo.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, so stand where everyone can see you. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, everybody. So many new faces, too. That's pretty amazing. Looking forward to that. But anyway, so I'm Scott Reedy. I'm with Access Group. We're a data and analytics solution company. And we've got full breadth of capabilities from design to data management and data science, AI capabilities. And specifically, if you happen to be a UI or UX designer and apply that to analytics, then come and see me. Either you meet people like that, or if you are someone like that and be interested in a consultant type career. So anyway, thank you very much for coming out. Thank you, Scott.
Thanks, Scott.
Thank you for the sponsorship. Before we get into the big show, I want to announce real quick our next meetup will be December 5th with Alberto Cairo. Do you want to give me more?
Stop.
Yes.
Dude, that's awesome.
I know. Exciting. I found out earlier today, actually.
Yeah, so Alberto, I don't know if you're familiar with, he's the chair of the journalism school, the Knight Foundation Journalism School at the University of Miami. So he's got a new book coming out. It's just out now. But he's doing his book tour, so he's going to do a presentation based on his book. So that'll be really good. He's not quite as entertaining as Dalton, but pretty close.
Nice.
Pretty close. Yeah, highly encourage coming to that. If you haven't seen Alberto Cairo's stuff, he's got a lot of free materials online, and he's got some amazing books that you could also buy and learn more from. Congratulations for that.
Right? Right?
It's his connection right there. Yeah.
Dude.
It's actually like almost the 1-year anniversary of, I think, when this meetup started again, and Alberto was the first one, the sort of reboot of this meetup, so kind of works out. All right, now for the big show. My good friend Dalton Brewer. I asked him for his bio. He told me he was a data scientist storyteller, which I thought was pretty cool. And then he sent me this slide that said data cathedral architect, and I was like, it's way cooler. I don't know what it means. You should ask him during the Q&A. If you don't, I will. We're going to find out what a data cathedral architect is. So Dalton is a speaker. He's an author. He's a blogger. He's a YouTuber. He does it all. He's extremely passionate, and he always has a really interesting message to share. So we're very fortunate to have him tonight. And with that, I'm going to pass it off to you. I'm going to switch this so that you can.
Please word. Yes.
Is that it?
I love it. Yep. And we use the same slide, of course.
Exactly. It makes it fun.
Works out really well. Thank you, guys. I sure appreciate that. Let's go ahead and move on so that we know that it's not exactly the same slideshow. There's nothing up my sleeve here. So how many of you could look at that and tell me what in the world that is? Why is it a mess? Okay. What do you think information I'm trying to present there? Pardon? This is my experience. This is my resume. How many of you seen a visual resume before? All right. No. Pardon? Exactly. No, not at all. Not at all. So I'm not showing this to say, hey, let's judge Dalton based on his abilities visually. This was my first stab at doing this. Would you be surprised in a world where we're saying things like digital transformation and visual analytics and everybody would say, I need you to send me that in Word for Windows. Would you be surprised that somebody who's trying to transform an organization in analytics could send out a visual resume to represent a 30-year career, and I try to present my 30-year career in a visual format. Let's take a look at some of this, right? All along, from the time I got started, Dalton's a coder, right? Obviously, I'm a programmer. Hey, almost from the time I got started, I've been using SQL Server. Dalton's about data, right? That's good in this world that we're in, right? I'm trying to change the world with data. Hey, as a matter of fact, I'm a database administrator. I've been a certified in all the Microsoft stack for numbers and numbers of years. Those are all good things, right? Can you see that instantly without reading through 10 pages to try to find out what my job titles were?
Yes.
Hopefully, yeah. I was like right there at the top, right? Hey, I've got a whole bunch of certifications. Woohoo! Can you miss my certifications? What are my certifications? IT professional. Okay. Designer. How about this one? Does anybody recognize this one over there in the corner? This is insane. Have you heard of EMC? Do you know what they make? They make storage equipment. Dude, I'm a certified SAN administrator. Like certified. If you've got data, I'm the guy to play with your data. Make sense? All that's super easy. Now forget about the bottom. Dude, this was my first attempt. That is my first attempt. Now some of you keep looking at me kind of odd. How come? Huh? What M&Ms? Like what M&Ms are you talking about? Oh, no, they look like M&Ms. They're not M&Ms. Trust me. My mom raised me better than to stand here in front of a group of people eating M&Ms. I'm consuming something completely different than M&Ms because, like, eating M&Ms would be rude. Like, you did not invite me here to be rude to your guests. Any ideas what you think I might be consuming? Exactly. I'm consuming data, which would be appropriate because it's the data consumption continuum. Now, he's still looking at me like, no, that's clearly M&Ms. I can prove I'm eating data. All right? It's zeros and ones. Right? It's zeros and ones. Clearly not M&Ms. Right? Because it's zeros and ones. Make sense? I love consuming data. Do you guys like to consume data? All right? Now, if this is data, which it isn't totally not M&Ms. Take a guess at what you think that is. Pardon? That is not big data, but that's a really good guess, Scott. All right? If it was big data, to kind of carry on the consumption, it would be more like dump trucks trying to dump it into your mouth. Right? Because it's coming fast, there's a ton of it. Like, this is a lot more data than I was consuming. So it's a lot of data, but it's not big data. All right? It's something much more personal than big data. All right? So what do you think is more personal than big data, and yet it is some type of data? It's not my data, it is your data, right? Like, hello, it's your data. Here's the $64 million question. Would you like to consume your data? No? I picked the one person who doesn't like M&S. Would you like to consume your data?
Perhaps.
Perhaps? Wow.
I always like the blue ones.
Well,
They're half picked out. Do you have a classifier for that?
good for you, man. I like it. Would you like to consume data?
Sure.
All right, good. Yeah, I wish I could, but I can't let you. Because you might do something to damage the data. Right? You might damage it before I can let you consume it. I mean, I can consume data clearly all day long. Like, I've got the background to prove it. All right? I can consume it. I've got the background to prove it. You, on the other hand, my friend, I need to back this data up first. Until I've got it backed up, I cannot let him consume his data. Does that seem reasonable? Talk to me in about a year. So we spent millions and millions and millions for a data center, millions and millions for the servers, the SAN equipment, to store my original data. I need to get some money to back it up. Now, what I need you to do is vote for my equipment purchases versus what your business group needs. Is that fair? Because I can't let you touch it until I've got it backed up, and that's going to cost me a couple more $1 million. Am I making this up for anybody who understands what goes on? Like, this is the world we live in. All right, thank you for voting and for sacrificing your business unit so that I have the money. I can now back your data up. Woohoo, we got it backed up. Would you like to consume your data? Sure. Yeah, sorry, I can't let you do that. Because there could be an earthquake, hurricane, tsunami event here in Atlanta. I'm going to need to first replicate your data somewhere safe, like in a bunker in Colorado somewhere, so that if an earthquake, hurricane, tsunami event hit Atlanta and this data was damaged, we've got an off-site backup. Does that make sense? I need you to vote for a couple more $1 million. I got to replicate data. Like, I can't let you consume it if it could get damaged, right? So I'm going to replicate that data somewhere. Whew! All right, it's 2 or 3 years later now. We've got the data backed up. We've got it replicated. Would you like to consume your data now?
I still do, yeah.
He still does. And you still got the same questions you had like 3 years ago about your business. You'd love to consume your data. I'm sorry, I can't let that happen. I need to build an enterprise data warehouse now so that all the data is in one place, because we've got all these different data sources. I need all the data in one place so that he can consume it out of a warehouse. Sound familiar? I'm not making this stuff up. Right? All right. 5 years later, we now have an enterprise data warehouse. All your zeros and ones are safe and sound and clean. Would you like to start consuming your data? He's already moved on to another company. He's like, I don't really care about that data because my entire business organization has changed. I don't even remember what questions I had 5 years ago. But here's the problem. I've got all these skills. Do the business owners have all of those skills? Holy cow. Right? All they care about is, can they get an answer? And more importantly, can I get them an answer? Right? And can I get their answer cheaper than the other person? Fortunately, I wasn't consulting and bidding against getting an answer. Right? Like, I help people build an architecture to get answers. But here's the thing. We hear all the time from these high-priced analysts in their beautiful suits without their pretty bow ties. Data's the most valuable thing in your organization. Have we heard that before? I hate to break this to you, and I really hate to break this to you watching and burst your bubble, but data is not the most valuable thing in your organization. Your data is only as valuable as your staff's ability, this is crazy, to consume the data. I'm not an accountant, so I know there was somebody here who was in the financial analyst background. I don't claim to know general accounting principles. What I do know is the millions and millions and millions and millions and millions we spend storing it, backing it up, replicating it, air conditioning it, having data centers, having staff to run network cables. Those things go into our expense column. Make it fair? Until you can start consuming that data, it has no value. Is that fair? All right, I made that point pretty clear. And again, I really apologize if I burst your bubble online. Now, because I am such a nice guy, I do have your data here in consumable packages so that you can consume your data. All right, I did not have to back this up, replicate it, EDW it, or any of that kind of stuff. It is there ready for you to consume. All right? As you're passing this around, as my presentation is the data consumption continuum, continuum isn't a word that you use like every other day, is it? No, like, yeah, I don't really use that word. Here's why I call it continuum. A continuum is basically something that, as I take incremental steps and I move down this path of digital transformation, those steps are small incrementally, but when I get to the end, holy cow, there's a transformation. And that's kind of what the industry's trying to do, right? We want to have a digital transformation. And we're going to do it by doing exactly what we've always done, but we're going to put something prettier on front of it. Right? I'm still going to live in a world where all I need you to do is get me an answer. But I want to transform my company. But I still just want you to just give me an answer. But I want to transform my company. I just want you to give me an answer. I'm guessing that for most of you, that kind of hits home. Like, that is the world that we live in. Right? Makes sense? So, I came up with this illustration years ago with a friend of mine at the hospital I worked at. I worked up the road at Northeast Georgia Health System. If you live out in the Gainesville-ish area, you've probably been there. You've probably seen our ads. I think now they're like the #1 heart hospital in the state, like 10 years running. So like serious real medicine, they're just not inside the perimeter, so you don't hear about them all the time, all right? So my friend and I came up with this, like, man, I've got to convince our boss that we need to actually invest money in this whole analytics deal, right? Like, this isn't a fad, right? Like, it's not like a beta recorder. This is not going to go away. And for us to grow, we're going to need them to invest money. Fair? So I came up with this concept as we wanted to go from just give me the answers, just give me the answers, to help me find the answers on my own, to let me generate insights and answers on my own, to holy cow, I want to be into predictive analytics and prescriptive analytics and yada, yada, yada. And we could keep this thing going. The main point was, as we wanted to go there as an organization, there's a level of skill needed to consume that data. I don't believe your tastes are refined enough yet to appreciate anything other than blue M&Ms. Eventually, we'll get your skills so you can consume orange M&Ms. Right? And you are welcome to only eat the blue M&Ms. If you need 2 or 3 packs, you go for it. Right? And there was a level of skill needed to produce what we needed to move forward. Likely, that's where most of you fit in. Right? You're not necessarily the one grabbing answers. You're not saying, don't, just give me the number. Is it 16? Yeah. Great guess. It was 16. Here's your answer. Right? You're the ones where they're picking up the phone. Hey, I need an answer and I need it by 5 o'clock. I don't care how accurate it is, just get me an answer by 5 o'clock. Huh?
You don't care about accurate answers.
You just make it's 16. I throw that number around all the time. But it's bound to be right sooner or later. It's 16. And I would do that. Well, I need the answer by the end of the day. I don't have access to the right information to get you the number by 5 o'clock. I need the answer by 5 o'clock. We don't need to wait. It's 16. Well, you just made that up. I know. The answer is going to be wrong anyway. Let's just speed up the process and go with 16. Because in the meeting, somebody's going to say that it can't possibly be 16. Let's find out next time we meet. Right? And our process is let's end meetings with let's get back together again and see each other. I love hugs. Let's come back again next week, next month, next quarter, next year, next century, and we'll get the right answer to the old question or get you the next answer for the question you just asked. Woohoo! Right? That's the world we live in. In order for us to break that, we've got to do some things. Make sense? Now, I want you to understand, this is not directed at people like me or people like you or people like you. Like, you're the guy, like, I can show you my resume and I've got 90 years of experience in SQL. Woohoo! You've always been able to get the answers if you had access to the data. You could have done it in COBOL. You could do it in Assembler. You could do it in Python. You could whip out your laptop, sit and cross on the floor, and get the answer. Like, you would have the ability to do it. I'm talking about business people. Their job is, this is crazy, like a nurse, right? Like a staff accountant, like janitorial people, like food service people, like teachers in schools, like principals in schools. These are not people who have the skills and the resume that I do, right? It's people who have a job to do and they need an answer. And in order to move them along to where they can get the answer without me as the bottleneck, we've got to figure this out. So anyway, we came up with this. You may like it. You may say again, well, you should have used a different color. I don't particularly like your font you used for the word reporting. You know, you should have labeled it better. That's not the point of this. We came up with this just as a simple way to whiteboard this out. I ended up sharing it with some friends. And you might be shocked to know they were those lean type of people. Those Six Sigma types. You know, the kind that wear bow ties all the time. They had like a black belt, a green belt, a yellow belt, a taekwondo belt, all those belts, right? And they're like, Dalton, it really shouldn't be like that. It should be straight to where there's just continuous improvement. We keep adjusting our standard work, and we will move through that continuum. That's what it should be like, right? Does that seem fair if you've got a process improvement mindset? Seems fair. How's that worked out for us, Spiros? Have you met those green belt, yellow belt, taekwondo belt type peeps? No. There's a whole bunch of smart people in the world doing project management and doing lean and Six Sigma. Woohoo! That's been going on for years. And you know what? We still live in a world where it's just get me the answer to the question I'm asking you now. That is still the world we're living in, despite all this beautiful process improvement stuff we're doing. We fixed everything except how we consume data. The process for consuming data has some serious bottlenecks here. We are not just automatically rolling from just give me the answer to I can do it myself, present an application for me that I can start getting my own answers. Like, I'm in the meeting room, just let me ask for the answers, right? That's a huge gap. Anybody want to guess at why there's a gap there? Organizational costs, that's a good one.
Organizational needs as well. I mean, constantly, in other words, some people may only need reporting. Somebody else.
Some people just want the answers, right? And that's fine. Just get me the answer. Because I don't really want to transform my organization anyway. I'm retiring in a couple of years, Jack. I don't need to do anything different, right? So those are legitimate things. I'll grant you those. Uncertainty, beautiful. I'm going to call it lack of trust, but I'll give you like 99% credit for uncertainty because that's what it is. I have a lack of trust, specifically, this is crazy, in myself as a data consumer. I was never really good in math. Like, I'm not really sure that I understand the difference between like medians and averages and like the means and modes and oh my gosh, can you just get me the answer? Right? And that lack of trust in their own abilities is holding them back from moving on. Fair? But what if I pay a genius in visualization to build a visual for them? That's got to fix the problem. Right? I can communicate it really pretty. I could have better colors. If I don't trust in myself, no matter what you've done visually, I'm going to pick up the phone and say, just get me the answer. I realize I could have went into the app. I'm a really busy, important big cheese. I've got a green belt and stuff, man. I don't have time for that. Just get me the answer. There's also an incredible lack of trust in IT. All right? For the sake of time, I won't make you guess. I'm going to share some of the reasons you might say, that sounds familiar to me. Remember that knucklehead from IT that held my data for me for 5 years? I hate those kind of people. Dude, do you understand that's my data? What I do for a living is how this company makes money, right? I am the CEO. I am the doctor in the hospital. I am the consultant out in the field making the money. That data is mine, not yours. Your job should have been to enable me to consume the data. Quit telling me that you need to spoon feed me one M&M if I kiss your ring every week. But that politics goes on, and it goes on, and it goes on, because holy cow, there's a lot of power in controlling all that data, Kathy, am I right? If I control the data, you better vote for my FTE requests, right? You know who gets to promote directors? I do, because I can build a kingdom. Because we're never going to run out of just get me the answers. I can hire 1 million report writers to just get answers. Is that fair? All right, so that's a problem. If we move from where Dalton or somebody like an Access Group or an IPC builds apps that let you surface the answers, if you even got there, there's an incredible gap between that and self-serving answers out of data. Can you guess what that gap is? Somebody say lack of trust.
Lack of trust?
That's a great answer right there. It is a lack of trust, right? We can't move to self-service analytics because I got a lack of trust in you, Mr. Big Cheese businessman, yellow belt, green belt, taekwondo belt guy, right? You have no experience in SQL. You have no experience in coding. I can't just give her the keys to my EDW, can I? That's ridiculous. She will hurt herself. Now, here's what I'm going to do. We're going to try this out, and I'm going to let her do it. Now, she has no idea how to join all those data sources in her My Data Warehouse. It's got like 18,000 tables, does she? She goes off, she reads a book somewhere, she watches a YouTube video from a ClickDork guy, says, ooh, I can do this now. What are the odds she generates the right answer, Spiros? Just say 0. That's a 0. That's not going to happen. Yeah, there's no way. Yeah, there's no way. You don't look lucky enough. Have you won the lottery yet? You did win the lottery, like a big one? Stop. Yeah, I'm saying, yeah, you won a big lottery and you're here. That's awesome. So, but to make the point, like, she would have to be like incredibly lucky to ever get the right answer. When she gets the wrong answer, it's just her fault, right, Michael? I mean, she doesn't get me involved. Her boss isn't going to call IT and say, well, how come her number doesn't match yours? Right? I mean, they wouldn't do that, would they? Like, I would not now get dragged into trying to prove why her number doesn't match my number, would I, Scott? Yes, 100%. Right? We now have the 19th version of truth. Right? Now I've got to drop the projects I'm working on, and I've got to go prove why her number's wrong. Man, I'm not sure I really want to go to self-service, Michael, because that sounds like it's just going to create duplicate work for me. Right? Now I got to do my job and get answers for her. Right? Because she's like, just give me an answer. Okay, I'm happy to do that. Give me more FTE requests. What do you mean you wanted self-service and were griping and moaning and complaining, and I gave you access and now you're involving me again? I thought you wanted to do it on your own. And she says, I'm not sure I really want to do it on my own. Right? But that's the pendulum swift from IT's locking up all my data. Just let me do it myself. I'm smart. I'm sure you are. You just don't have a background in data and business roles and coding and scripting. Whew. Right? You may know how to throw a pie chart on a screen. Woohoo! Right? That doesn't make you able to generate or consume the right answers out of an EDW or any other way. Does that make sense? All right? How about predictive analytics? Why can't I move across the continuum to get to predictive analytics where I let some computer just run some Python and tell me stuff? I appreciate the fact you're sticking with your answer, though.
It really works on this one the best.
I got to give it to you. It's still the lack of trust. Dude, we're 10 years into this. We've given that guy millions of dollars to back up our data, replicate our data, build a warehouse, and I still keep getting 18 versions of the truth. I'm not so sure I trust that data science guy that they hired. He looks like he's 18. He's talking about machine learning, and he's just going to feed it a training set, and now suddenly I'm just going to start running my business from that answer. That seems like a far stretch. There's a lot of uncertainty. I'm not sure I trust that plan. Does that make sense? Am I making these up, or is that kind of the state that we're in? We're trying to consume data. For God's sakes, we spent millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars on the data. All we want to do is consume it, and all of these trust issues are causing us a problem. I kind of phrase that as chasms caused by a lack of trust are what's holding us down from being able to consume that data. And notice those little Twitter logos there? That's for you to like take a picture and like tweet these quotes on. I'm trying to help you, make you look smart to all your friends. You're like, wow, that's the smartest thing I ever heard. I know, right? So that's causing a problem. Today we have something that's really, really popular called data literacy. Am I right, Kathy? Every other analyst from Gartner and Forrester and Forrest Gump and everybody's talking about data literacy, right? Who's heard of data literacy? Okay, fantastic. What is data literacy about?
How good you are at reading a data set.
How good you are at reading a particular data set, right? And so the answer is, hey, look, I am a genius in visualizing data. I am highly touted. I graduated from tech. I've got all these degrees. I can make my data spin and give you a back rub. You are just illiterate when it comes to data, and you can't read it. That's the problem, right? You need to improve yourself, Michael. For this organization to transform digitally, you need to become more data literate. Right? Now, that's kind of a harsh way to say it. That is not my intent at all. So don't stop watching now because you think I'm down on data literacy. But that is essentially kind of what we're saying. We're doing everything right. The reason that you're not consuming your data is because there's something wrong with you. Does that sound like a fair way to get started? Right? Because there's been this battle. IT's controlling everything. The business wants to do everything themselves. They're not even trained. IT's controlling everything. The problem is on you. You want to do it yourself, but you're not ready. I need another reason to make you slow down from consuming data. Right? Now, there's a lot of good things about data literacy. To me, part of the problem becomes, and that's kind of a harsh term. So I want to share something at the end here that's a little bit easier term if you'd like to use that in your organization. Stay with me online. All right? There is a dataliteracyproject.org. This is a website any organization can go to and take assessments. How data literate are you? Right? Hey, there's training classes. Let me help you be able to consume the data that's presented to you. Right? I realize you want answers and you're intimidated by these charts that spin upside down and give back rubs. I totally get that. Right? That's just human nature. There's places that can help you. A couple of weeks ago, or 2 months ago, Zach Geminati was here, and he's written a book called Data Fluency, and this was before the data literacy movement. right? His approach, his terminology was data fluency, meaning how well do you speak data to the people trying to consume it? Is there a difference between those two terms? Right? One's about these goobers in business, and one is let's take ownership ourselves. Are we speaking data correctly in a way that consumers would be able to consume it on their own? Because this would be crazy. This is about a partnership with IT and business. We should not be in a IT versus business, business versus IT. This should be, we are partnered together for the sake of the company. You have your role, I've got my role as the data geek. We need to partner together to do this, and I love that term, data fluency. So Zach, I know you're gonna watch this. Thank you, buddy. I've told you this a million times, I love that. This ClickDork guy, by the way, that's me. All right, if you haven't figured out, I'm the ClickDork guy that I keep quoting, because I'm like at that stature in my career, I can quote myself, right? So I've got a blog with all kinds of things about data literacy that's really from the perspective of let's look at what both are doing and figure out how to make the data consumable. Fair? Lots of resources out there for you. All right. Now, here's a quote. I've put it up there. Normally, probably if I was just meeting with you, I would have just saved that and then I'd flip through, transition, have it fade in, and bring this left. I wanted to share that first because there's a little bit of humor there. Right? If you want to avoid getting run over by the bus, learn how to drive the bus. Right? That's for those of you who are not confident in your data and are intimidated by the fact we're getting inundated by data, guess what? So am I. Make no mistake about it. My career past has nothing to do with the fact that I'm now seeing data sets coming from a million places at the same time, and people need answers from all of them combined. I'm way beyond the point in my career, Michael, where it's, ooh, here's a file, get me an answer. It's here's 90 files from 80 different locations. Can you figure out how they all go together and get me the correct answer? Wow, it's intimidating for all of us, right? So I feel your pain. I understand as we're moving to this digital transformation, everybody has a little bit of intimidation with the fact that there's so much more data now. Is that fair? So I'm not knocking people and making fun of people who get run over by the bus. There's an element. Take control of your own career. You mentioned Alberto Cairo before. I'm taking an online course with Alberto in data journalism in 3 weeks. I'm going to have to spend time at night taking a course, because you know why? I still want to get better, my man. Like, the ClickDork is not done with his career yet. I realize I look like I could fall over tomorrow. I got a lot of career left in me. And you know what? I want to be as good as I can be to make an impact with people. Right? I owe that to data consumers. So I got to take a class at night. You know what? You might have to learn a thing or two if you're going to still have a job in a world that revolves around data. Is that fair or is that harsh? Okay, now, I've got a friend, his name is Rishi Mukala. He is the analytics director at Nemours Children's Hospital in Atlanta. How many of you have heard of Nemours Children's Hospital in Atlanta? Nobody raised their hand. I'm sorry, Rishi. Nobody knew about your hospital. They all do now, and everybody watching will know about this. He had this genius idea years ago, before the data literacy movement and all the Gartners and Forresters of the world. You need data literacy. He started a program, this is crazy, called Data Swagger. How cool is that? Do you want to improve your data swagger? Yeah. Yeah, I want to improve my data swagger too. That's why I'm taking Alberto Cairo's course. You have no data swagger yet. Would you like to improve it?
She does. That's not fair. She shreds.
She shreds? I love it. All right? The beauty of that term is it's not really offensive to anybody, right? Hey, Mr. IT know-it-all, would you like to improve your data swagger? Yeah. I need a cooler bow tie that makes me look even better, right? Oh yeah, Python, I rock that stuff in my sleep, man, right? I want to improve my data swagger. Anybody in the chain, including nurses and janitors and food service workers and teachers, right? And moms at home who volunteer at ministry-type organizations and nonprofits, they can improve their data swagger too, right? So there's nothing intimidating about, oh, I'm the have-it-all, I know it all, and you need to learn. It's let's all get better together. Is that fair? How cool? Do you love that term, data swagger? Feel free to steal that if you so choose, right? Don't give any credit to Rishi at all. Feel free to just steal that term, take it back to your office, and your boss is going to say, man, that's genius. I need to pay you more money, right? Because if I was a boss and you came back, I'd be loving that term. You like that term? You're going to share that with all your students, aren't you? Like, you're the smartest instructor I've ever had. I'm so glad you're here. All right. Now, a lot of you work with data. You've got resumes like mine. I've worked with data since I was a kid. I nursed on zeros and ones. Woohoo! Tell me the answer to this. What's the number one question that data consumers ask? Number one question. Nobody's raising. Yes, sir.
Well, I guess since I'm done, I would go for how reliable is it?
That is genius. Dude, I wouldn't pound it for if it was a dumb answer. How did you come up with that answer? I've been in this business a long time. I keep getting 18 versions of the truth. How did you come up with your answer? You don't need to worry your pretty little head about how I came up with the answer. Look at how pretty this visual is. Right? The prettier the visual, the less you need to know how much you can trust the data. Why are you shaking your head no at me? This is my presentation. I just said it. Are you telling me that if I make a really pretty visual, it doesn't help you believe where the data came from? I'm a little confused then. Do you agree with me that this is what's going on in consumers' heads? Because of the 18 version of truth we've had for like 30 years. Right now, I work for the organization called Click. When I get people on the phone who want to look at our product, well, tell me about your visualization. I heard you're a visualization tool like whoever else might be a visualization tool. And I say, I don't want to have that conversation with you because it's not about visualizing a number. It never has been in the 35 years I've been doing this. It's never going to be in the future because the visual is secondary to can I trust the number that I'm looking at? Is that reasonable? Is that fair? Am I pushing a bad agenda on them? Or is that fair? Right? If you can't trust that number, we got a big issue because that's what's going through your head. It's not about how pretty the visual is. And yet the industry as a whole, let's go to visual. We need a visualization tool. Why? The number 16, how pretty does it need to be wrong? Right? It is not about just the visualization. Now, you notice I use the word just, right? Because visualization is important. I'm going to get there. I'm not throwing out your career plans. Oh my gosh, I plan on being a visual analyst now, my whole career. No, I'm not throwing out visualizations with the bathwater. I'm simply saying the number one question is, can I trust the answer? All right. I get almost every day in my career. Can you export all that analytics work that my analytics team has done over the course of months to Excel? Do you guys get that at Access Group all the time? All the time. Now wait, they pay you money to be experts in analytics. You bring a team of highly trained, skilled individuals in to help build an app And their first question is, can I export it to Excel? Does that make sense? Why?
Because Excel's a great car for most people.
But why would they want to take an app that they've paid money to generate answers and dump the data out of that app into Excel in the first place?
Lack of trust.
Stop. Oh!
I'll play. That was
That's
right.
my. Thank you.
Yeah.
I like you, man. I like you. Okay? It's like, this is not unexpected to me. While I hate you asking me that question, I understand where you're coming from. You want to know if I can generate the data so that you can hand reproduce the answer. I get it. I totally understand where you're coming from. So while it may upset me that you continue to ask that question, I know where you're coming from. You need to trust the answer that you get. Make sense? All right, so I love you, but I hate it. All right, so in my eyes, this is just Dalton Murr's eyes, right? I'm not representing any organization in this particular statement. I totally believe 100% that data literacy can help. I absolutely believe in it. I've posted blogs on it. I've interviewed world leaders in it. I share stuff on LinkedIn and Twitter all the time about those experts that are out there, like Valerie Logan, and the work that they're doing to drive this industry. I totally believe in it because I don't want her to lose her job. I don't want her crying when she goes, oh my gosh, my boss needs an answer and I don't know what to do, and I got kids to take care of, and I don't want that for you, honey. Right? I want you to learn how to drive the bus and be able to get answers, but that is only part of the solution. Right? Now, it is a big part because I can't move anywhere until she has a little bit more confidence in her skills to consume data. Does that make sense? Right? So I'm not knocking data literacy, Jordan. That's not my intent. I'm saying I think it's got a part of it. It doesn't solve these other trust issues, right? Because it's about me. I'm still going to philosophically have that same question. Where did you get the number? Oh, I understand the number. I can read the chart. I like the back rub in that spinning chart. But where did you get it from? Does that make sense? Right? Am I pitching bad things? All right, this isn't like a data cult thing here. Right? This is real world stuff, right? So here's my take on this. All right? And you feel free to stump the chump afterwards picking on me. Here's what Dalton Murr believes. I believe we need data governance. All right, and here's what I mean by that. I'm not like a Gartner. Oh, you better start marching to the tune of data governance. Let me help you understand what I'm talking about. Data governance is something that goes beyond the EDW. Well, you need to get your data clean, and you need to put it in a big EDW. That doesn't help me trust the number that is on the screen. Right? Data governance goes beyond data quality and data fidelity issues. All right? You may not even know those terms. That probably would be an issue if you wanted self-service, right? But those are huge terms in the industry. Let's say that we solve those problems from the IT perspective. Woohoo! Guess what? These M&Ms have been cleaned all the time. I use Clorox on them. They are scrubbed. They are cleaned. Everything that all the experts in data quality and data fidelity say, those M&Ms are. You still can't consume them, right? That doesn't help you as a data consumer, all right? Part of what I believe about data governance is it has to include the business rules. God bless you, right? It's the vendor says this in their classifications. Our organization says this. Somebody has to figure out how to transform that, right? And it's not in the vendor system. You're not changing their store procedures, right? We're not allowed, we would break the warranty on our vendors' systems that we just paid $500 million to, if you were a large healthcare system. But not everything that's in there is perfect, and we've got business rules. Business rules involve coding. All right? To me, my personal belief, data governance has to, every day of the week, every week of the month, every month of the year, has to include those business rules. Right? I've got to have that, and I've got to go beyond. I've documented everything in a master data dictionary. Have you heard those terms before? Where are master data dictionaries usually at, Michael? Where do those usually exist? Stop it. In an Excel file on some data guy's desk? How does that help her know if she can trust my 16 or not? Tell me it doesn't. It doesn't. Well, you can't consume your data yet because I have to create a master data dictionary that you're never going to see anyway. Or that I'm going to tell you, well, it's out there in SharePoint somewhere, just find it. It's not like you got a million other favorites. Just find it and then search for the 800,000 items that we have and try to make sense, right? Like, that seems reasonable, right? I think, to me, again, what I, Dalton Ruhr, think is data governance has to include all of those things in the applications themselves. So if I'm looking at the number 16, I, as a data consumer, not the data developer guy who cares what you guys do or think or how you generate your number, I need to be able to somehow look right at that number and say, how here? And I better see the master data dictionary stuff right there. Here's how I calculate this total, right? Here's one of the problems that's plagued our world. We got to create a master data dictionary, so I need one definition for this. Scott, I've been doing this a long time. I know you have, buddy. Is there ever one definition across an entire giant enterprise? Never. So most organizations never actually finish their master data dictionary because they're fighting in meeting rooms. Well, your definition doesn't agree with mine. I'm not even coming to the meeting next week, Spiros. Let's go. We're just going to keep our own data in our own system. That's what's going on in companies all around this country, all around the world, right? If I can create a master data dictionary with 5 definitions, I don't mind that at all. As long as in the app, the one I've used is visible to her so she knows if she can trust the number 16 or not. And if she says, no, 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 that's how those people calculate, I need a different number, okay, then don't trust the number 16. Don't trust it. I don't want you to trust it, right? I want you to get the right number, and I need to give you away, this is crazy, in a governed self-service fashion to get the number that you want. So you've got to have access to those business rules, the metadata stuff about it, so that you could change the chart to be your number, the way your team calculates it. Is that fair? I know it's getting late, and we're getting tired. I'm like, man, but is that fair? Right, okay, so governance to me has got to be in the applications. All right, has this been pretty good stuff this evening? Can I give you a 10-second sales pitch?
Who's responsible for data governance?
Fantastic, that's a great question. That's it. Dude, I love it, that's perfect. Who's responsible? This would be crazy. Nope. Nope. That's a perfect question. Good evening. IT, this is crazy. Now let's look at this chart and say, the way that I can change their lack of trust in me is if I govern it for them and I share that in a way that lets them get the answer themselves. Right? Because now I'm saying, look, I'm not against you. I'm not trying to hide your data from you. I'm not trying to force you to vote for my FTE request and build me a giant data center, you know, and give me more air conditioning and give me nicer chairs with lumbar bars. I'm trying to help you consume the data. And now here's the beauty for me as IT. If I do my job right, and I govern it and I make it available, I can trust her to get the right answer on her own if she's starting with an app that has the governance that I've built in it. Right? And here's the beauty for me. I did have like my ClickView designer certification in it. I'm going to be really honest. I really hated those meetings where somebody would say, that's great, can you change the column with 4 pixels, because when I print it, I can't sit my ruler down and measure these 2 numbers. Those things drove me nuts, man. Like is that a lot of what your consultant, oh man, I was in a meeting today and they wanted to change the color from this RGB color tone to 3 shades lighter of red. Ooh, wow, that is so valuable for a data dork who likes to focus on data, not changing color tones and columns.
If your clients are talking about color, then you did a bad job of your visualization.
Well, here's the thing. They want to talk about color. It's important to them. It's not important to me.
But you didn't give them something literate to have a conversation about, right?
Well, so here's my thought. If I give them a governed source that has the business rules, the things I like doing, like code, already, I don't need to be the one in the meeting room designing their screen, right? A GUI designer, a visual stud, can be in the meeting rooms with them, right? And now believe it or not, when I suggest that, tell me your name again. Kyra, when I go to meeting rooms and I suggest that to these IT types, you know what their first question is? Well, what's going to happen to my job? What's going to happen to me if I let her start getting answers on her own? Right? Does that seem fair? That's a legitimate question. Here's my answer to them. Do you plan on running out of data sources anytime soon? Right? Like, how goofy do these people got to be? And I'm not talking about you in IT worried about it, the other goofy people. How insane is that to think, oh my gosh, if I do everything right to build this governed infrastructure so that she can get answers herself and literally transform the organization, I might be out of work because we're going to run out of data sources. There's not enough open data sources online. There's no possible other work for me once I solve the problem with our first 80,000 data sources, right? Like, there is nowhere you're going. If you can produce governed data, you will have a job forever, whether it's in healthcare, whether it's in finance, whether it's in insurance, whether it's in the Department of Defense, whether it's in a civilian federal agency, you will have a job forever. Does that make sense? All right? So, here's my quote about data governance. Right? It is not intelligent to take action on data you don't trust. Do you think that's a knock on the business people, those people over there? Or do you think that's a knock on the IT people, those people over there? Kind of both and neither one. I need you IT types to understand. Why would he start using your application, run down the hall, and make changes in the organization to transform it digitally if he can't trust the answers you've given him? Well, look at my resume. I'm such a big of course you're going to trust my numbers. I realize you've had 18 versions of truth in the past, but not for me. My answers are better than everybody else's. You just can't see what they are or where they came from. Just pick up the phone and interrupt me, and I'll tell you where I got it after I go back and look at all my SQL code and try to understand what I wrote. But fortunately, I comment everything. I'll be able to reproduce that, but at least I gave you a number by 5 o'clock just like you asked. Woohoo! Right? It's a both problem. Right? If you want data you can take action on, this is crazy, and actually act on, you need to stop with that, give me an answer by 5 o'clock. Right? We need to get that infrastructure in place that makes you all work as a team, not IT versus business and business versus IT. That's never, ever gonna work. Right? So anyway, I think data governance is gonna get us across that entire continuum. You may have a completely different opinion. Nope. The right answer is a visualization tool. If I get the right visualization tool, I'm now gonna be able to create prettier charts than anybody else in the world, and I'm just gonna automatically transform my organization digitally. Woohoo! Let me know how that works out for you after like the first week and you fail, but whatever, right? I don't see that working, you can see it working. All right, now, have I kind of knocked visualization a little bit? Are you feeling like a little bit of lack of love? I don't want you to leave here without feeling some love. All right, so I said visualizations weren't the most important thing, but trust me, I believe visualization is an important thing because if the visualization ain't right, I'm now going to break all the trust and everything else I did. Does that make sense? All right, so I'm going to give you 3 tips, like the experts, those Gartner, yellow belt, green belt types. Get 3 tips. I'm going to make a real simple 3 tips. You can write these things down, remember them, take a picture of them, whatever it is you can do. You need to provide visuals that tell the truth. All right, Alberto Cairo, if you're watching, and when I see you on the meeting December 5th, I kind of got that idea from you, buddy. Right? Truthful Art. Right? That's his book. All right, so it's got to be truthful. I think you need to present visuals that help tell a story. Right? And I think you need to present, this is crazy, right? But dude, I'm wearing a giant bow tie. You really didn't expect much else, right? I think you need to present KPIs, not KPIs. I just earned my money for being here, right? With that one, oh, that's right, we didn't work on a fee before, huh? Shoot, man, dang it. All right, so KPIs, I think, is like quit presenting information and give them a reason why they should get up off their butt and do something. I get it. We're presenting a whole bunch of stuff to you in terms of numbers, and then you're like, why are you complaining that I don't use this daily? I've got no reason to use it daily because I've got no reason to go take an action. I see numbers. 16, woohoo! What does 16 mean to the organization, Kathy? Who knows? Woohoo, it's 16. And why do I need to see it again tomorrow? I don't. All right, so let's walk through what each of these is. We're going to make this kind of quick. Your axes matter, so ensure they're correct. It's a little shout out. You should appreciate that. I kind of call that out as a little plug, for our sponsors, right? But it also fits charts, right? We call those things axes. So here's a chart. This was actually presented in a meeting I was in. So I'm sitting in the room as the dork. They present this chart. Now let's not worry about the chart titles. I kind of put this here. This is the number of seconds it takes to complete a task. All right? This represents how many cores are in the machine. Right? Ignore the fact you can't really have one. Not sure where they got one from. Whatever. Right? Well, it's a really old machine. It was 1 core. You can't buy them anymore, but they're probably in your phone. I don't. If you had 1 core, whatever this task is, it would take you 11 seconds. Is that fair? We all tracking? Like HR people and finance people, we tracking on the concept there? If you put another core in that machine, you will take the number of seconds from 11 to 9. We call that getting betterer. Right? You get betterer, right? If I put 4 cores in that machine, it only takes me 7 seconds. Did I get betterer? All right? If I have 8 cores, it only takes me 5 seconds. Did I get betterer? I got betterer. If I have 16, if I have 24, and then they put this arrow here, we wanted to help you know, to feel secure, this system is very scalable. Have you heard the word scalable before? All right, so some of you, if you're IT geeks, you've heard scalable. Is scalable a good thing? Right? I want to be scalable. So if my needs grow, I just throw more cores in, and I'm scalable. Here's the problem. This chart is horrible. All right, and I'm going to show you why. Our axes are wrong. This goes to 11. This goes to 24. We'll call it double, slightly under, right? Is it fair for the double to have half the space of the smaller one? That's not fair, is it? However, it does paint a pretty visual of scalability, and I need you to believe my system's scalable, because you might not buy it if it isn't scalable. So I'm going to present this chart to you, and you are going to eat it up, hook, line, and sinker, right? Now, if the axes were correct, I would have my 24 be double my 11. How scalable is that system? Holy smokes, I'm throwing money down the drain. Here's the point. You visualization guru geniuses, everybody wants to be you people. The way you present the visual is every single bit as important as all that hard work that I've done to govern it. All right? You have a serious, serious role to play. All right? And here's what I end up seeing a lot. Well, I've got this little bit of white space left. Let me put a chart in there. And then the end user goes off and spends a whole lot of money they shouldn't have done. Do you think this is only with scalability, or do you think that kind of bad axes has a problem in like other industries? And like decisions are being made from data. Is it reasonable to understand why those business people don't trust us necessarily? All right, so here's an idea. Don't add to the problem. Right, like make sure that your axes are correct. All right? Here's another really, really bad idea. Time. How many times have you gotten asked to show a visual that has time in it? Okay, you're just starting out. Well, all the time. Right? We use time as a dimension all the time. Time is a horrible dimension because I have no idea when I've missed values. All right, so here's a chart. This is from the healthcare industry. It's something vital. If I cross the red line, really, really bad stuff is going to happen. All right, so if this is vital as her, if that dot gets across the red line, bad stuff is going to happen to her. It's missing.
There's like 15-minute increments for the beginning of the morning, and then it's like skip.
Skip. Now, that's a problem if I use it as a dimension, because dimensions simply get blocked off like, oh, it's green, blue, orange, red, pink. Oh, it's 8 o'clock, it's 8:15, it's 8:30, it's 10:45. All it cares as a dimension is that it's incremental. That's a bad plan. If you're going to use time, here's an idea. Time is relative, it's linear. Let's show it in relation to now. Instead of showing you the times, let's take those things and say, here's now. That first dimension is 500 and some minutes ago. The second one was this. The third one was that. And by the way, we don't even have a value on a person who was getting really, really close to having bad stuff happen. Right? And oh, by the way, we got an even longer thing. The closer they got, bad stuff's about to happen. I think I'm going to go on lunch for 3 hours. I got other stuff to do. Her vitals don't matter to me. Right? Now, this still shows the values. Does it help tell a little bit of a story, though? About something that maybe I wasn't even thinking of when I said, can you show me her values? Right? But the end user says, oh, just show me her values. We're like, okay, let me just blindly just start showing you time. And when values are getting missed, we don't even perceive that because we never look at the bottom of the chart for the times. Other than you, but probably because, I put that on a title. All right? Now, in terms of story, to me, context is king. We present stuff people call it, show me the year-over-year trend. How many times have you heard that? Right? Have you heard it more times than you could probably count? Yeah, like, show me year-over-year. Okay, yeah, no. Like, why would you need to see that? And when I say, why would you need to see that, what do you think the end user's answers are? I want to assess improvement. Okay, that's a horrible way to do it. Why am I going to take the time to present numbers and then make you do the mental math? Because if I look at this chart, up and down, everything's pretty much close, right? And our answer to, I want to be able to assess the change over time. Yeah, did you? No. What I can do instead is show you the context of how they actually changed over time. If that's what we're looking for, and year over year, and I'm looking for a comparison, then here's an idea. Compare them, don't show them. Because the end user is going to get the wrong assumption every time. This is the same data. All you yellow belt, green belt, taekwondo belts should love this. Our process is all over the place. Sometimes I'm better, sometimes I'm worse. Sometimes I'm better, sometimes I'm worse. Until you tightened up your belt, you fixed my process, and now I'm seeing a constant improvement every month. Is there a story there? Did I see that there? Here, what you do and how you present it matters because there's a story behind what you're doing. Is that fair? All right? Here's another one. This is about, I've mentioned, like janitorial staff. So in a hospital, we call it, there's services crews that come and clean rooms. So I discharged her, she got better. Fortunately, I got to clean her room, all right? And so they measure some things like turnaround time. How long did it take you to turn the room around? All right, our hospital goal is 75. What's our average turnaround time? Woohoo, done. I'm done looking at the screen, we're done. I hit my objective, I get my bonus at the end of the year. Right? And you're laughing because managers that are like that. All I needed was the number to show me that I'm going to get my bonus. It's not like I'm actually trying to improve our turnaround time. As long as I bettered my goal, I'm in good shape. Fair? A couple other KPIs. Hey, here's a daily. This is a nice chart. The ones where we don't hit our turnaround times on those days can be colored red to let you know, hey, this day it didn't hit its time. Right? That's a nice chart, isn't it? Right? Again, let's not get into, okay, what was the label? It's too small. Make it bigger. It really would be bigger. This is for the sake of a PowerPoint presentation. And I walk away saying, you know what? Nobody's perfect. There's going to be days when we're good. There's going to be days we're bad. I'm sure there was a legitimate reason why we missed it that day. Right? But most of the days we're overall good. We're hitting our goal. Let's move on. We can end the meeting. I'm going home. Fair? Well, unless I try to present a story for you instead of just this crazy, giving you a stupid number that you're going to use for your own bias. All right? So, this is a heat map that shows day of the week, hour of the day for the turnaround time. Can you instantly tell the hours of the day that our turnaround times are really high? You're not even a visualization expert. You used to work in HR. How did you know?
Because the shades are different.
The shades are different. All right, so I didn't even have to tell you, I probably would have, hey, the darker the color, the higher the number. Right now I would put a scale there or a legend. Ooh, yes, I've read all the books. I would put a legend, right? I've got that there instantly. Here's the hours of the day that we're missing our numbers, right? These are high. Let me show another heat map, right? Because they wanted, how many staffing we have. What if I showed the same thing in a heat map for staffing? What story did you just read in this chart without a whole lot of data, without me giving you a whole lot? What's the story there?
So the darker the vision, it's crowded over there.
It's crowded. So if this is staffing, when are we got most of our staff here? In the middle of the day, so between 6 a.m. and 2 p.m., I'm getting most of my staff. What happens after 2 p.m.? My staffing's dropped, right? They're paid for 8 hours a day. They're all starting up at 6 o'clock, right? Or they're coming on board. And wow, our turnaround times are really, really good when we have staff there. How well is that working out for us when we don't have much staff there? Right? Let me, just for giggles and grins, I'm going to throw one more chart up on the screen. I'm going to show you the number of requests. Right? Hey, that's good to have some staff here, but we're overstaffing because we don't really have very many requests. So he's sitting on his butt on Facebook because there's no rooms to clean. You know what I need to do? I need to start staffing on the demand that my data shows me. Right? Is that action? Right? Would that be, this is crazy, would you call that digital transformation? I kind of would. Right? Now here's the deal. This is a real live case. This was for a real organization. I won't tell you who. So the point isn't to embarrass them. Right? It's this, please give me a KPI. Okay, yeah, I will, but I'm going to give you some more. All right? Because I need you to see that there's a story behind your numbers. And unless I show you a story, you're not going to know what action to take. You're going to live on your own bias. We're at 72, we need to be at 75. Woohoo! I'm done. Right? If you use the right type of visuals, you can help present the story, which is way more than the number. All right. KPIs give people numbers. The average, this we'll call length of stay, the time she was in my hospital was 3.5 days. Woohoo! We're at 3.5 days. Who cares? Right? That doesn't do me any good. Can you break that down by my specialties? I sure can. Let me show you the number by specialty. Woohoo! Oh, good, I got a number. That's awesome. Hey, can you do a chart where I got micro charts inside of it, and I got, my ones where I missed my times, and I got better than my times, and can you do heat maps? I sure can. I can overwhelm you with the way I can create a visual to represent your number. And that still doesn't encourage you to get off your butt and make a change. Okay? So here's what I mean by a KPY. All right? This is a KPY in my definition. Our average is 4.62. That's 0.33 over what's recommended by the government. The government says this should be it. It's a little over. If I presented that to you, you're going to say, who cares? That number's really small. Right? That's fair. Why do we do it then? She's going to ignore it, Michael. Because she asked for it, and I'm just doing what I'm told. Right? I'll tell you what, let me go a little step further. Just so you know, because you asked about that, but we had 1,293 patients. Those little 0.33s made up 426.69 days over the course of the year. And again, she says, who cares? Right? What's that mean to me? I'm in finance. Why do I care? Right? Well, all right. I guess I need to bring some financial data into this because her heart and passion is finance. So if I'm going to get her out of her chair, I better stop with the just show me the number, right? Let me tie in finance. Hey, our cost per day is this, meaning those days cost us $1,250,000, 201. Whoa, wait a second now. You didn't say that. I didn't say it because you never asked for it. You said, tell me what my average is. And it was 0.33, and you thought, well, 0.33 isn't a big deal, right? Now, are there clinical people, like people that have a heart for others? They're not those bean counters that only care about the money. They don't care about people, right? She got out of her chair to scream because of the money. She's got a heart and a passion for people, right? She's driven by something else, so I keep going. Hey, yeah, more financial stuff. By the way, our 8-hour delay, because that's what 0.33 days is, right? Is the math correct on that? All right, now don't give me the whole, it should have been 0.333333 stuff, right? 8-hour day means after the kid's been in the hospital for 4 months, our delay when we expected to release him meant the dad had to end up going to work and couldn't be there to escort his child home. The mood just all kind of changed. Why? There's empathy. Kathy, is that what stories are about? Don't, like, storytelling has a, I need to draw you in emotionally if I expect you to take an action, right? I want to change your behavior by giving you a reason to change your behavior. Here's an idea. Stop asking for KPIs and start telling people what it is that's really going to drive you to make a change. All right? Business and IT have got to work on this, but you guys can play an important role in this. Right? Now, how much of a fancy visualization did I need to make all these people almost weep about a fictitious kid? I did. Was that a very fancy visual? You could do better than that, right? You'd make it spin, give a background, right? It is not, visualization is important in the storytelling process. Fancy visualization is nice for infographics, woohoo! The prettier the graph doesn't mean people are going to get action from it, right? You've got to weave those things into a story if you expect them to actually take action and change processes, right? And I think even the people with yellow belts, green belts, and Taekwondo belts would agree we've got to get action if the process is going to improve. We're not just trying to measure a KPI to see if we're hitting a fictitious goal we set. Make sense? All right, so Mark, I'd like to give you a big shout out, buddy. I really appreciate Mark Costa here. Everybody give him a hand. He's with one of our other partners here in town called IPC Global. Mark volunteered his time to come and film this and do a live stream for me, right? So that I could be here and I could hand you M&Ms. Those poor saps on the other end of the live stream. And Mark kept some M&Ms. He will personally send them to you, right? They don't get M&Ms, but Mark volunteered his time. Now, it wasn't about just showing up here. Mark worked over the weekend to help make sure all this was going to work together. So, Mark, I really appreciate that, dude. There's only You know, there's not a lot of people in life that just volunteer time to try to help people, and I appreciate that, buddy. And y'all feel free to like give him a shout out when I share all that online. Spiros, thank you for the invite. And Michael, same thing, man. Like, you guys are doing great work to try to build Atlanta as a hotbed for visualization and analytics. Right? These guys are doing yeoman's work to try to get people for you, you know, like a guy in a bow tie and Alberto Cairo, who's like a world famous data journalist, right? Like he's like the guy. And so they're doing great work. And I appreciate you giving me the chance to be one of those people. I'm glad I was before Alberto. But Alberto, if you don't bring M&Ms, you're nothing, Jack. I'd also like to thank Zach Ivey. I know you're going to watch this from the stream, Zach. Zach helped me kind of come up with that first graphic. And even more importantly, Zach helped me come up with my brand. So my brand is the Click Dork. Right? Do I live up to that brand? All right, now, this is a graphic that he came up with to be my brand. Tell me if that doesn't look like that took him like 5 seconds, and it looks just like me. All right, so Zach, thank you for helping me come up with this brand. I was just going to be Dalton Ruhr. He's like, no, you're not going to be Dalton Ruhr. Nobody cares about Dalton Ruhr. You need a brand, and so I appreciate all your help. If you'd like to follow me, it's really easy, @ClickDork on Twitter. I'm not trying to make this difficult for you, right? It's just @ClickDork. If you want to stalk me, go to my website. It's clickdork.com. I'm not trying to make it hard for you, all right? And literally, my slogan is, let's make it simple. What I generally do is crazy things like this, where I say, everything you've been hearing in the industry is probably missing the real points, right? These are sound bites that people use to try to get you to follow them, and we've been trying those things for 35 years that I've been around, right? And they just keep failing, and we keep pointing the blame at others. Well, the reason it's failed is you didn't do this. Well, the reason it's failed is you were hiding my data. Well, the reason it's failed, let's stop that and work together, all right? So you can reach out to me at daltonruhr@click.com. That is the company I work for. Remember I gave you my 10-second sales pitch of like Click, right? I believe, this is my hardcore pitch now. Get your credit cards ready. I believe that we've got a governed solution. We have a platform that helps you build a governed solution, not just a visualization tool. Visualization is hugely important. I've made it clear that I believe in that. I've made it clear that I believe in bad visualization, but I also said there's good visualization. You guys play an important part. Visualization's important. I'm not trying to take you GUI designer things away, right? Governance to me is super important, and I believe we got a solution for that. That wasn't too hardcore, was it? Are you offended by my sales pitch? All right, good. There's swag over there for you too. That's the other half of my sales pitch. All right, so we got really, really cool swag. You're totally going to want to get credit cards out then. But on serious, if that resonates and you're like, man, I would really like to talk, feel free to email me. Feel free to reach out to Scott, as you said, right? That's what they do, is help organizations understand how to transform their organization by building a governed architecture, right? Visualization, when we ask for it, stop it. That's a part of the picture. Just stop focusing on pie charts and bar charts. That's not going to solve your problem. You laugh with me. I've got a YouTube channel. Ta-da! This is going to be on their live stream. You're going to say, man, I wish I could watch him 10 times. I've got to show my spouse this crazy guy with the bow tie. Feel free to do it. All right? And oh, by the way, you might want to watch a bunch of my other stuff. Like I've got one out there on data storytelling, right? I've got some out there on data literacy and data fluency and governance. I've got a video, this is crazy, on Jack and Jill and analytics. And it ends with, this is crazy, governance so Jill could get her own water. Whoo, that'd be revolutionary, right? Okay, connect with me. I am on LinkedIn. Da-da-da-da. I guess a surprise in this year and day and age, right? That I'd be on LinkedIn. An old guy like me, an old geezer like me. I'm on LinkedIn. Feel free to reach out to me. So that is my spiel. Do you have any other questions? Right? Generally, when I say that, people are like, no, other than can I have some more M&Ms? Do you have any questions, though? I realize it's getting late and it's really hot in here. Unless it's just me because I've got like a suit on and like a bow tie choking me to death. All right. No questions? Yeah, I could take it off and cool down a little bit. Okay, yes.
Go back to the slide levels that could have continuums.
Yeah, I like the fact that you use the word continuum. You could hashtag that. Data consumption continuum. You could hashtag that. Start a trend.
Kind of present it here like it's an evolution or a progression. But don't all these levels need to like coexist in an organization? And should we really be trying to make every person a self-service analyst?
Great question. So I never really did finish tying up the whole continuum. But like I started with that, I gave you the definition like I'm Webster or something. There absolutely is still going to be a need for canned reports, like for finance. I need to know what my GL was as of this date and time frozen, right? I need it on green bar paper. I need it on a disk somewhere in a vault. Absolutely. That's still going to exist, but the majority of the reason we're doing that, we're only doing it because we don't trust ourselves or trust others that we can move further, right? And here's the problem. Can you generate a report for me? I've got a meeting at 5 o'clock, and I bring your report to the meeting, and this smart Alex says, well, what about? And we end our meetings with, well, let me get another report for the next time we meet. Is that something that we want to be doing? Right? So there's always going to be some canned static. I need a number in an archive somewhere that can never change so I can go back and prove to auditors where we were. But for the most part, the biggest chunk of this, we really would like to be able to get answers for ourselves in some type of an app. So instead of having to wait for him to get me something, I would like to consume this on my own. I just need some help in doing that. Is that fair? All right. Now, that's not a huge gap. Get me the answer, let me filter stuff and get my own answer. That's not a huge gap. Self-service is not really, if I can get the answers myself, and you've already governed it so I can see, well, just let me make a change. I want to change this measure in the chart instead of that one that I asked you for last week while I'm in the meeting room, right? Because that would kind of revolutionize things, wouldn't it? Your job, young man, is to get answers and put them in PowerPoint charts for a meeting, and you keep updating them every week. The change there, though, right, becomes if he could do that in the meeting, I don't end my meetings with get me another, right? Right? That's huge, because now I leave the meeting with an action plan to improve my process. I don't leave the meeting with an action item to ask for another report. Is that reasonable? So somewhat of a small change. If I can do those things right and I can start using machine learning and AI, and our term for it is augmented intelligence because we think those things really have to be combined. If I can start using those things to predict things and give me that information, and I can do it in the workflow in which people work instead of having to do it in an app where I have to remember a website and I got to know what screen it was on, and right? That is kind of a step from here, right? If I can embed that in a workflow, so kind of small incremental steps, but from just give me the number because I don't trust anybody else in the organization and I don't trust myself, to I'm going to allow and accept data as part of my workflow that might help me personally do my job better, right? Improve something. Does that make sense? Is why I call it? So yeah, I do not mean to insinuate that's just stupid. It's never going. That's never going to go away. This never going to go away, right? This is like a banking app. You use your banking app. It shows you how much data you got, how much money you got, right? That's not going to go away. They're not going to let you suddenly start accessing their database, right? So that's not going to go away. But in an enterprise, an organization, if I could transition to let's get answers in the middle of the meeting, if that was not everything I needed, that's a huge help to the organization. Is that fair? Did I answer your question, or am I skating around it? I don't want to skate around your question.
No, I see where you're coming from. I guess what I'm getting at is that it's not like a one-dimensional thing of like
I am not trying to insinuate that that is totally going to go away. If you were a better organization, you'd totally get rid of reporting. That's not going to happen. If you were a better organization, everybody would just be surfing for themselves. No, that's not going to happen. If you were a better organization, everybody would trust AI. No, that's not going to happen. Right? But as we start, how can I consume more and more and more and more data and be nimble about it? That's the point I'm making about a continuum. Right? That's the journey that we're on. We don't have a choice in this, right? Like it's not, you know what, let's stop worrying about data. Let's just go back to times where everything was just like on paper and cocktail napkins. Right? That we're never going back. And in order to move forward and have adoption and actually transform our organizations, we got to be thinking about these trust issues and how we solve them. All right, and I think those gaps that are keeping us from where we need to be, where we can drive our meetings with data instead of people's gut feelings based on a time milestone, the better off we're going to be. That's how we literally transform our organizations. Yes, sir.
NSF has a data governance policy, and other organizations do also want to include like business rules and stuff.
Yep.
So
that's where I would end up giving you a sales pitch, or where Scott could help give you a sales pitch for Click, right? Because I believe we've got the solution to governing data sources and being able to embed those master data dictionary, that metadata inside apps so that end users can trust the number that they're looking at.
So is data governance a product?
Data governance is a feature that's within our platform. And I'd be happy to show it to you, and we can talk afterwards. Again, I want to make sure I'm trying to present information. I really don't want to give a huge sales pitch, but my sales pitch is, I think I do have the answer to that. Right? I believe my product has an answer to that.
Any other questions?
Going once, going twice sold. If there are M&Ms, please take them. Thank you, man. And grab your swag on the way out. There's a nice placemat, so as you're consuming your M&Ms, you could